everyone, it's your boy Tony Rivera. Welcome back to Dream Car Driving, and today we're going to take a blast in the past with a car that did not get much recognition, but today is respected. Today we're going to check out this wonderful 2002 Pontiac Trans Am WS6. And today with me I have our special guest. His name is Steve. And Steve, just tell us a little bit about your car and what you have done with it, your backstory and whatnot.
Thanks, Tony. Yeah, this is a 2002 Pontiac Trans Am WS6. This particular model was one of 303 produced in this color combination. You'll notice it's a sunset orange metallic. That was the name of the production of the paint.
Okay.
With a top leather interior. So it's kind of like an odd color combination that they only made 300, roughly about 300 of.
Nice, nice.
Yeah, it was the last model year that they produced this vehicle, was 2002. So you'll see on the side, you'll see the last of the breed stickers that kind of makes the reference to the last model year. From 1967 to 2002, they built these Firebird Trans Ams. The car has, from the factory stock, 325 horsepower, 350 foot-pounds of torque. This particular model has a 6-speed transmission. It came from the factory with a Hurst 6-speed shifter, which I've modified a little bit to give it a little bit of a shorter throw.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's a little bit more fun to drive, and you don't have to shift as long of a shift.
And what I would like to put on that, and nowadays people might think, 325 horsepower is not a lot. But if you go back to the year of 2000, 2002, the early 2000s, you had the Mustang GT. This was one of the muscle cars, one of the Holy Trinity. You had the Pontiac, you had the Mustang, you had the Camaro. All these cars roughly had about, 300 horsepower. This one actually had a little bit more than even the Mustang GT. And the Mustang GT was a nice little hot car.
This is actually almost like, if you want to compare it to the Camaro version of this would be the Camaro SS. Same type of, like, it has a hood scoop in the front.
Okay.
It brings the air in. This one's a ram air, that one's an SS. So it kind of uses the same method to force the air, more air into the engine. That's the difference between the SS models and the WS6 versus the regular Camaro and the regular Trans Am. Under the hood,
that's a good note.
Right, the WS6, if you want to talk about the WS6 option, that's mainly a wheel, ground effects, hood option, but also with the WS6, what you get is the air box underneath that these vents are actually functional in the front.
Nice.
So you'll have the air forced into the engine more than you would a regular Trans Am. The regular Trans Ams and Camaros had 310 horsepower. These, the WS6 and the SS, 325 from the factory.
Nice.
That's the difference.
And I'm a little bit biased. I actually do like the Pontiac Trans Am. I like the body style and the Q's a lot more. It's a lot more in your face. It's a lot more bold. The Camaro, to me, a lot of people say and think it looks like a little mini boat. You've even told me before that it reminds people of like a catfish.
Catfish is what the popular term is for that.
So this is like, to me, this is like the souped out version of like a Camaro. If you want something that looks like a racer car boy type of a vehicle, this is what you really want. And it's kind of sad because, you know, you had Fast and Furious back in the day in the early 2000s. I don't know if there was, you know, a Trans Am in the first movie. I don't think there was.
No.
There should have been. Come on, this is like, I'm not saying it's a Supra by all means, but come on, like, put some respect on its name. You got the nice T-tops, you have the nice rear end spoiler in the back, you have the nice front panels, you have the flip out lights that was very popular from the 90s all the way up to the early 2000s. This is a really nice car. I could see this car in a Fast and Furious movie.
When you were talking about the horsepower and how it's not a lot compared to what we have today, that's true. But you have to remember back in 1998, when this body style first came out, to 2002 when it ended, 325 horsepower was a lot. And on top of that, you know, factory rated, we'll call it, is 325, but really it's rated that specific rating for a reason, so you can get through the emissions, and really it's producing a lot more power than that. That's why a lot of these cars from the factory, you do nothing to them, you take them to the track, and they're running low 13s right up there with the Corvette.
Yeah, that's true.
So in reality, you're not pushing only 325, you're pushing more than that, and you're staying in sync with the Corvette, the C5.
It costs a lot more money, right? For the time,
20,000 more, yeah.
Yeah, so
you know, so it's just right up there with the you know, best cars as far as performance. You lose a little bit in suspension, but at the same time, it's not a C5. It's a F-body, so it's a little bit different. But yeah, it's a quick car for what it is.
So what modifications have you done to the car since you've had it? And to talk about a little bit more of the backstory, when you bought this car, why did you even buy it? Like,
well, I started out with an 86 WS6, so 86 Trans Am WS6, which had the tuned port injection 5.0, 170 horsepower. And in 86, that was, you know, because of EPA regulations and everything, they really
everything was restricted,
Oh my God, it was very, very slow. But it was nickel and diming me to death. I had it since high school through college. Oh, wow. And in college, I saw one of these in this color, the T-tops off, pull into a Taco Bell drive-through, and I'm like, yes, I need that in my life. So I set out on a journey to find one for myself. It took 3 years to find this car.
Get out.
While I was in college, and after college I was able to make a purchase. I found the correct one that, you know, I liked. This is a one owner, well, I'm the second owner. But at the time it was a one owner vehicle, 14,000 miles. It was on a Buick dealership lot in Ohio. And I'm like, I have to do something. I have to do something. I called them, I made a deal. I flew out there one way and I signed the paperwork, drove it home the same day, 10.5 hours to New Jersey.
Get out.
Across 3 states. So it was a journey, but I've had it for 15 years. And I don't think I'm gonna ever let it go.
Yeah, and on top of that, this is garage kept.
Yes.
It has what? How many miles does it have?
So I brought it home with 14,000 and change. And
this is 15 years ago.
15 years ago, I brought it home with 14,000 and change. Today, it's just under 22,000 miles in 2021.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's garage kept, under a cover, climate controlled. Everything's just meticulously maintained as best as you can. Some modifications I've done to it. Obviously, I've put the stickers on. There's a dash plaque in there too to commemorate the last of the breed, as we talked about before. The short throw shifter is a Hinson short throw shifter. I've done some cosmetic changes as well. I did the smoked out lights on the side. I have a rear carbon fiber filler panel that's custom made for between the tail lights. Other than that, she's pretty much stock. I haven't really gone that deep into her yet. Okay. Some future upgrades.
You think we can see what's under the hood?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Show everyone what's the goodies.
What 325 horsepower look like?
Wow. Wow, that's just pretty epic. Just look at that.
It's also the paint. I love the paint. The color is what I really enjoy.
Especially in the sun. So yeah, wow.
Yeah. So this is what 325 horsepower looks like from 2002. This is where the air is forced in through the nostril to get to the motor. So here's where you're sucking in a lot more air than you would.
Yeah.
Versus the regular Trans Am. And
nice little LS1 engine.
LS1 325 5.7. Yep, it's all there.
Nice.
Basically bone stock.
Wow. And how's she on gas?
That's a question you don't want to ask.
Yeah, right? When you buy these cars, that's one thing you don't worry about.
If you have to ask that question, then buy a Honda.
Yeah.
That's all I gotta say.
Yeah.
Buy a a
nice little fuel efficient car, right?
A Nissan Leaf.
Yeah. Or a hybrid at that point.
That's correct.
Or Tesla at that.
That's correct. You're not buying this for gas mileage. You're buying this for the fun factor and the in-your-face type of aggressive. Like, I'm coming, get out of my way.
And now that you say that, let's hear the sound. Let's check out the sound. So let's close this bad boy up.
I'll fire it up for you, yeah.
Yeah, so we can get a nice little exhaust note. Now that's some muscle Americana right there. So we had to turn the car around because the way the sun is pointing at us right now is casting a big shadow on the booty of this car. And just like anyone knows, if you're buying a vehicle, the booty has to look nice, and the butt on this, the rear end on this is pretty nice. You have the nice dual exhaust tips right here, and for a 2000, that was pretty special because most cars back then usually just had one tip.
Actually, in 1998, the very first redo of this body, when they put the LS1 in it, and also changed the panels, the front and rear bumper, they actually only had one exhaust on the left side coming out.
Get out.
Yeah, they I don't
that
know
model year? Just
1998. That's
wow.
They only had the one.
You see what I'm talking about?
Even on the WS6, they had only one exhaust, which I didn't understand because you have a lot of space here and here.
Yeah.
And it's like it looked
just
unfinished.
Look at all that room back there.
Exactly. So they fixed that after that year, but for me, 1998, I don't know why they.
And is this considered a hatch? By all means, because of the way the trunk goes up?
Right, correct. So this slope, this angle is considered a hatch, but you have the T-top.
So show these young kids that are watching this video right now the hatch. What the heck is a hatch? If you don't know, I know, guys my age and older know what the heck a hatch is, but just look. You don't see this on newer cars anymore.
No, it's usually just a flip-up trunk that's no bigger than this. Typically, but this is basically the whole the rear half of the car opens up.
Definitely.
This is where you put your T-tops into slots down there, and then the rest of the space is kind of pretty much useless, but it exists.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, you close that bad boy back down because what I'm really looking at right now, this kind of reminds me kind of like a spaceship, not in a bad way, because I like Star Wars growing up. So seeing this kind of reminds me something of that. I really like how the swooping effect you get with this rear spoiler right here. That's very unique. You don't see that on any type of other models of car. Pontiac was known to get that nice swooping effect. And just here's a carbon fiber piece.
This was custom made. There's a gentleman out in Los Angeles that I got in touch with, and he does custom carbon fiber pieces for any vehicle, but he has an F-body. He has one just like this. He has a WS6 just like this. So when I saw him create this filler panel and other pieces, which I'm going to eventually put on the interior, he custom makes everything from carbon fiber.
Get out.
So I was like, all right, well, let's start with this because it's a beautiful piece, and it actually came out really good. I think it's very unique. Nobody else has it. So I'm going to be doing the rest of the interior trim pieces in carbon fiber as well.
Touches.
Yeah.
So if you mind me asking, how much do the gentleman charge you for something like that? How much does that something like that goes for?
About $460.
But it's worth it.
It's worth it. It's not cheap. Carbon fiber is not cheap, and it's custom made. It's a one-off, so you're not really going to find that in an auto parts store or online somewhere as a mass-produced item. You have to specially make this stuff.
Definitely.
Yeah.
You have the iconic look with the tail lights, the little honeycomb treatment that it has on the tail lights. It gives it just a little bit more flair. You have the nice WS6 badge right here to identify what this beast is.
Yeah, and the honeycomb lights were also a unique change to the tail lights. Starting in 1998, they started to swap over because in the past you had these grid lines that ran across, and that was the tail light for the Trans Am and the Firebird. Now they switched over to the honeycomb starting in 1998.
So this is, you know, a beauty and a beast, you know, that if you see one, admire it, because, you know, you're not going to see something like this too often.
No.
And I hope you guys enjoyed this little segment. I'm Tony Rivera. This is Steve. This is Dream Car Driving. Subscribe to the channel. I hope you enjoy your wonderful day, wherever it's at.